right, guys, so if you clicked on this, you're wanting to do a voltmeter in your vehicle. Well, first of all, what you're going to want to do is find a meter that has a little potentiometer inside of it or on the back of it, or an electrical potentiometer that will allow you to calibrate that meter, because all wires have a slight bit of a resistance to the conductivity. So on a voltmeter like this, or any other voltmeter, the cables are actually part of the calibration process. So whenever they're building this thing, they adjust it based on the length of the cables and the conductor in the cables, so that whenever you touch these two to a positive and negative, it gives you an accurate reading. If you added 10 feet of cable to this, or change to a different wire, or even change these leads to something else, you're going to slightly change the reading that this gets. But on most voltmeters, of decent voltmeters, there is an adjustment inside that you can use to calibrate them. However, we don't bother with these cheap ones. But here's the thing. When you're putting a volt gauge in your vehicle, you're still struggling with that, because the amount of conductor that you're connected to before it gets to the source of the voltage, whatever that may be, is going to dictate what your reading will be. So if you take two different voltmeters and connect one with 1 foot of wire, and then connect another one with 10 feet of wire to the exact same place, you're going to get two different voltages. Also, if you connect, ironically, two different voltmeters with the same wire to the same location, you're probably also going to get a slight variation. And that's because this just, tolerances built into the electronic device. But like I said, your better ones will have a little potentiometer inside on the back, or possibly an electronic setting on the front where you can adjust it. And so what you would do is you would take a known good, decent quality voltmeter to the source you're wanting to read and test the voltage. Now, say for instance, if you're trying to keep up with how much power is getting to your amplifier, what you're going to want to know is what the voltage is at the amplifier. Okay. So with the vehicle doing what it's going to be doing, or running, key on, whatever it is, you go back there to the amplifier with your known decent source and get an accurate reading. And then you hook up your voltmeter really wherever you want to, as long as it's a 12 volts or, a 12 volt source that's the same source as the amplifier's on. And hook that up there with whatever leads you're going to be using to get it to wherever you want to go. 10 foot, 2 foot, whatever the wire length is, all those things. Get it where you want it with the right amount of wire. And then you're going to take that adjustment on the back and adjust it until it reads the same as the voltmeter did right by the amplifier. And then you should be good. So what you'll do at that point is you'll change the scene, like you'll put some music on, or start the vehicle, or turn the vehicle off, or whatever. But just something, the voltage will change, right? And you're going to look at your little gauge and see that the voltage changed. And then you're going to go back to the amplifier again, measure back there again, and see if the change is the same back in the back as it is in the front. If it is, then you're golden. It's often said the way you want to do it is to hook your wires up to the source you're trying to measure. So, like for instance, you would run a positive and a negative all the way back there to the bank, whatever, and that's the right general idea. The problem with that is you're still having all this wire that's going to run from front to back. You're going to have to engineer a on and off for it, so you can hook it up to the remote wire, which takes a different path and all this other stuff. So the thing is, it doesn't really matter where you hook it up at in your car, as long as it's the same source of power that the amplifier is getting. So that spot will change relative to the amplifier, which pretty much any 12-volt source in your car is going to be the same source of power, unless you've got a charging system for your car and a charging system for your amplifier that are split. If you don't have that, then anything that reads voltage in your car is going to be the same source. The trick is to calibrate it. If you say, well, I'm just going to hook it up back there at the amplifier, and run it, that's fine, but it's still not going to be accurate. Like I said, if you hook up that wire back there and run it 5 or 6 feet or 10 feet to wherever it's going to go, you're still going to get that voltage drop. And most likely that gauge is not going to read accurately anyway. That's why you want one with the setting on it so that you can calibrate it. And it ain't got to be great. It ain't got to be, super nice or expensive. You just got to find one that has the ability to be calibrated and calibrated. And Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. Some of the things I recommend is, first of all, don't get one that's too bright, because if you're mounting it up there in your face, it may be fine during the daytime, but at nighttime, it's probably going to overwhelm your eyeballs. And if you're driving at night, you're going to be sticking some tape over that sucker to tune it down. If you do get one that's really bright, you can try getting a piece of window tint and put on it. Another trick you can use is one of those little screens that you get for a phone. It's called a privacy screen. And what it does is, if you put it on the phone screen, you have to be directly in front of the phone to see. If you're off to one side or the other, it darkens out. You can put a piece of that over it, and that'll make it so that it basically darkens out if you're off to one side. And it actually works pretty good. If you get down right eye level with it, it'll get bright, but as long as you're off to one side, it'll darken. That's another trick to making it darken down. You can also set it up to where you can turn it off, have it to where it's keyed on and keyed off, but you can manually turn it off as well. So that's an option. I like to have mine on all the time. I just use, I mounted mine up in my overhead, and it's back in there. It's very dimmed out. It doesn't bother me at all at nighttime. So that works out really good for me. But again, make sure you find one that's got an ability to adjust it. That's the key. If you don't, you're never going to get accurate voltage on there. So there's that. Hopefully this helps you guys to understand how and what type of volt gauge to get, how to install it and make it so that it's going to be accurate, and how to deal with some of the things that pop up after you install it that you didn't really anticipate, like really bright lights and whatnot, especially at nighttime. Anyway, guys, if this was helpful, be sure and hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. Leave me comments. If you guys found something that works pretty good, leave it down in the comments. If you think I am an idiot, leave that down in the comments also. I love being insulted by intelligent people. So think about that one. Peace, guys.